Yo, what's up, guys? So we're on another episode of Fund Your Freedom, and today we have somebody on that has a funding company, and we're going to get into some good questions and systems. Let's get it.
Yes, sir. First and foremost, my name is Jamapi Tapa. I'm just a kid from the Bronx who built and scaled a 7-figure funding business, and now I'm teaching people how to build and scale theirs as well.
Boom, boom. Okay, let's get into it. You do funding, so this is the other side. We talk about credit repair, and now we're talking about the funding side of things, and I do that as well, so I think this will be good. Sure. I know we were talking about off the air, like systems and the importance of that, so I know you mentioned teaching people this, so let's get into like how important the systems are in the funding world.
Absolutely. So systems, man, obviously it stands for saving you time, energy, and money. Without systems, you can't scale, right? I think a lot of people, what they do is they focus on client by client, right? But what if you can build a system behind every client you implement within the business, right? Mm-hmm. One thing I see right now, especially with systems, is if you have the proper system, onboarding clients are very seamless. Everybody has that bottleneck if you don't have systems.
Yeah. That's key. I look a lot at the client, like the life cycle of a client, right? Like the long-term value of this client, or the LTV, right? So when we were going through it, and I know you guys have the credit repair segment, and then they get over to the funding side of things. Yep. So is there a specific niche that you rock with in the business funding world, or is it just or personal funding? How are you operating that?
Yeah. So it is a specific niche. I would say more so real estate, because obviously I have a background in real estate. I own a 3-family in Newark, New Jersey. So I understand the bottlenecks when it comes to real estate and how important capital is. Ooh. I would say also, too, I work closely with salon suite owners, people who want to build and scale salon suites. We work closely with credit repair companies. Yeah, but we work with everybody. If you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to scale your business by the means of capital, we fully assist you by leveraging the credit.
Ooh. Okay, let's get into the real estate. So listen, I have my real estate. I got my real estate license when I was 18. So it's been 10 years now, yep. And I own property as well. And the real estate funding is a little business funding and the real estate funding. So that's interesting. In like the real estate funding world. So say I came to you. Do you deal with people that want to get money to invest, or do you just give what type of client in the real estate space?
Both. So a client who wants to invest. A client who wants to, even if they want to become a realtor, how do you travel? How do you have an iPad to show listings? We fully assist anybody from any aspect of the real estate industry.
Interesting. I like that. Yeah. Okay. So if an investor comes to you, hey, look, I need to get some sort of capital. I want to start getting different projects and stuff. How do you navigate that? And like, what type of lending are these guys getting to?
Yeah. So I would say it's steps to lending, right? A lot of people think, okay, a realtor come over, we're just going to leverage 0% interest. That's just one step, right? So what we're going to do is, first and foremost, we're going to view the credit profile, right? Once we get a full understanding of the client's credit profile, first thing we're going to leverage is the current relationships they have. One thing I look at is, I look at the banks like this, like a group of friends. What if you didn't know this person and you came to the table, everybody eating? You're going to bring a plate to the table as well, right? You're not going to sit there and come to the table begging for food. Mm-hmm. So the first thing we want to do is leverage where we already have relationships. So if we have a relationship with Chase, first thing we're going to do is leverage that Chase. How do we leverage Chase? We're going to build a deposit relationship. So what we're going to do is, I typically tell my clients, they typically say you need $2,000 in a Chase account if we just establish it and we open it. What I tell my clients is build a deposit relationship. So if your goal is to put $2,000, every other day put $100. Don't just deposit $2,000, because what you're doing is you're teaching Chase's algorithm that you're here to stay and you're not here to play. So then, obviously, once we go from 0% interest, now we got to understand, all right, what's next? Obviously, 0% interest is but so much we can get. Mm-hmm. Let's say 50 to 250K. These properties now almost $1 million. I'm from New York City. Properties over $1 million, right?
Yep.
What we're going to do is now we can introduce you to a hard money loan, right? Mm-hmm. We can introduce you to a hard money loan, or you can go the traditional route, right? Going through a mortgage broker, get pre-approved, and then from there, meet up with a realtor and start to shop around based off your buying power. Then also too, let's say for our entrepreneurs, we can do a DSCR loan. And with DSCR loans, they're more so for entrepreneurs because you don't have to show any documentation. See, here's the beautiful thing about DSCR loans. How it works is basically, as long as the mortgage outweighs, as long as the mortgage outweighs, the amount of money you make on that property outweighs the payments, you're good to go on a DSCR loan.
Yep.
So obviously if it's even, you'll be at a 1.0, but typically DSCR loans, the best rate typically comes in at a 1.25%. You have to be making 25% more on a property in order for you to get the best rate with DSCR loans.
Yeah.
So there's levels to funding, and we do broker DSCR loans. That's one thing we do as well, and we heavily tapped into the real estate industry.
That's dope. That's dope.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know many people doing in the real estate world, so that's pretty interesting. So yeah, like for me, I know we handle a lot of high risk industry clients, and a lot of them actually want to get into real estate. It's pretty interesting. So that's pretty cool, especially when you're dealing with different things like the hard money loans, the DSR. What is it?
DSCR.
DSCR.
Debt service coverage loan.
Yeah, that's the one where they want to see how much you're going to rent the place out. And
exactly.
Based on the rent amount depends on how they're going to approve it, right?
Yep.
That's good. That's good. So somebody, as an investor, they come to you, you build that plan, and they start executing the plan. That's pretty solid. So when someone's going through this process, what's like the typical timeline on how long it takes? I'm sure everybody's different, but like on average, how long is it taking you with the clients to work with them to get them?
So it all depends. Every client is different, right? I always say a lot of clients in the industry, they don't follow instructions. So what happens is you can build out a sequence for them and it may not go as planned because they didn't take the time to go open up that bank account and establish that relationship. So now we got to delay the process. Or they maybe didn't deposit money into the account and build that deposit relationship. So every client is different because we may receive a client who doesn't have the proper credit profile. A lot of people, I see a lot of gurus on the internet, what they say is, if you got a 700 credit score, I can get you 50 to 250K. But what about the comparable credit?
Yeah.
A lot of people don't talk about the comparable credit. What comparable credit and what that means for people that's out there that don't know is what credit cards are you leveraging right now for the banks to come in and triple and quadruple your limits? So what the banks typically like to see is a credit. They typically like to see 4 to 5 personal credit cards with a credit limit of $5,000 or more. Now, also what the banks like to see is credit mix, right? Not just credit cards. They want to see installments. They want to see mortgages. They want to see rent, like rent reporters. You can always backdate your rent for 2 years. So they want to see a multitude of things. And I think a lot of people, what they don't understand is that comparable credit matters more than your credit score. So I've seen instances where I've gotten a client with a 680 credit score, 200,000, but couldn't get somebody with an 800 credit score, nothing.
Yeah.
So obviously building that comparable credit. Now, what I typically do is I tell my clients this, right? What you should do is leverage pre-approval tools. So now what happens is if we leverage pre-approval tools, we're no longer shooting darts in the dark. We know what we pre-qualified for prior to even going in.
Yeah.
So that's what I always tell my clients. So we may go to a Christian Community Credit Union. We may go over to Truist. We may even go over to Chase. Chase has a pre-approval, and this is all on the personal side, right? We can go over to PSECU. Navy Federal has a pre-approval tool. So leverage those pre-approvals to see what you pre-qualify for before applying. This is how we build that comparable credit. Once we build that comparable credit, obviously, if you're applying for credit cards, your credit age is going to drop, right?
Yep.
So what we typically do is if your credit age drop, now we leverage an authorized trade line, an AU, because what happens is if we get an older AU, it's going to even out our credit and extend our credit age. Right? If we get an older AU, let's say from the 90s, or you can go over to rentreporters.com, rent to comma, and what you can do is basically backdate your rent for 2 years to give you more credit age. Now it shows the banks you're not new to this, you're true to this.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Don't make me run a masterclass.
I like that. I like that.
Listen, man.
I like that. So I know, listen, like there's a lot of different things that we see online, and there's a lot of misconceptions in the funding industry because people want to market, and a lot of these guys are not doing it. And it's always interesting when I talk to somebody like, I'm already picking up, this is how he's good with systems, because a lot of the stuff that he's talking about, these are all tools to get you more money in the long run in the funding world. And I know that. And I think it's so cool to see it because a lot of times I see online, this is the one that I see all the time. And clients will come, they're like, yeah, so I got an LLC and I'm ready for funding. And I'm like, okay, what's your credit score? No, I cannot use my credit score. How old's the business? I just opened it today. So what's your credit? 500 credit score. You don't want to use your credit score. You have a brand new business. Who's going to give you money? And that's what I see a lot of different things online where people are talking about that. What's some misconceptions in the funding industry that you think a lot?
Man, everybody thinks they're going to get 50 to 75K from Chase.
Yes.
Because that's what the gurus are saying. But the thing is, a lot of these gurus are actually not funding at a high level. See, I'm funding at a high level. A lot of these gurus, what they are is they're marketers, right? So they'll tell you, hey, I can get you 50 to 75K from Chase, but what about the comparable credits? What about the relationship you have with Chase? What about the data points? See, the thing is, a lot of people don't understand there's data points that you have to be able to submit in order to get that. Are you going through a relationship manager? Are you signing a DocuSign or are you applying online? Because if you're applying online like the masses, guess what? You're going to get a generic approval of $5,000 to maybe $15,000, even though your profile qualifies. This is why we go through relationship managers. Can I give them a little bit of sauce? I want to give them a little bit of sauce on how to even attract relationship managers.
This is
so
key.
The good thing about relationship managers, they are the second approval before it goes to underwriting, right? So how you can attract relationship managers is you can go through LinkedIn, right? A lot of people don't use LinkedIn. You can go right in the search bar and you can type in Chase Bank Relationship Manager. Now, a lot of these chases, they're geo-sensitive. LinkedIn has access to the full world. So now you can go and say, hey, I got this client out of Texas. Let me go find a relationship manager from Texas. Now you hit them up. Hey, my name is Jamapi Tapa. I help entrepreneurs gain access to capital. Tell me a little bit about your KPI. Because what happens is now once you show them that you care about what they got going on, they're going to show you that they care about what you got going on.
Yeah.
From there, you establish a relationship with them and you can introduce them to a client. See, here's the problem, right? A lot of people value money over relationships, but actually a relationship could give you an unlimited amount of money. Yeah. See, I have one Chase Bank relationship that probably bought me in over 200 grand this year because I leveraged a relationship and I took care of them and I nurtured it.
Yeah.
See, relationships matter more than money, and a lot of people don't understand that. So leveraging LinkedIn is always the play to attract relationship managers. Another way you can attract relationship managers, go in the bank and just deposit money and just ask questions. Hey, who's the business relationship manager within the bank? And just tell them what you do and be honest straight up. And they're going to tell you if it's for them or not. You know what I'm saying? Don't lie because they're going to see it anyway.
Yep.
And just let them know, hey, this is what I do, but I can help you hit your goal. Do you want to go to President's Cabinet this year? Yeah. Because my Chase Bank relationship manager was able to go to President's Cabinet because we were able to take care of him. So what's your goal? And then align your goal with their goals and you can go from there.
That's key. And actually, when I first started doing funding like 4 or 5 years ago, I realized that everybody's posting all these high limits. And I'm like, how the hell are these people getting it? And so I was still doing it. And I'm like, I ain't never had no high Chase approval because we were going through online. And then I did I went to someone's mentorship and this person's pretty high level. And I just was like, I gave some game in the rental car industry and they gave me the one thing. They said, you need to go find relationship managers. And I was like, this how you guys are doing it? He's like, yeah. I was like, bro, what? Okay. So I started doing it. And what I did realize, and I really like the strategy you were saying. It's actually key. Because I started going to banks and I realized early on that bankers are just like every other people. And there's some people that want to go to the president's cabinet and there's some that don't want to have you send them 10 clients. They don't want to have to do extra work. They're like, no, I don't want to, I can't even. And there's some that can't send the DocuSigns out. There's certain levels to it, but that's key. A good way to find them because it takes it out. You can weed them out, I think, a lot quicker with the KPI thing. Because you're basically qualifying them when you're starting to talk to them like, yo, what are you looking like? Yep. That's good.
And now you get to understand like what's their background and what they want. Because here's the thing, right? A lot of people don't understand too about relationship managers. It's a 9 to 5 for them. So they don't know a lot. So I've seen clients to relationship managers and they're like, why would you get funding through credit cards instead of going to get a term loan? Because guess what? Getting a term loan, the clock starts right then and there. Interest, right? That interest clock starts. For the average person who's building and scaling and starting a business, they need 0% interest, right? Because what happens is with 0% interest, guys, if you don't know, is if you spend for the first year, depending on the bank, right? So let's say for Chase, for the first year, let's say, for instance, I get a 50K card and I liquidate that 50K card or spend the 50K. I only have to pay 1% back monthly for the first year. See, a lot of people don't understand that power of that 1%. So let's say, for instance, I spend 50K. I only have to pay back $500 for the first year, $500 a month for the first year. That is very important for a new entrepreneur that's coming in who needs to maximize on growth and who needs to take those risks early in order to grow, build, scale, and grow their business.
Yeah.
So that's why I always consult my client prior to even taking them to the relationship manager, because typically they work a 9 to 5. They can't fathom leveraging credit cards, liquidating them in order to hit their goal because they're working a 9 to 5.
Yeah, they don't got business funding themselves.
They don't know. Yeah. So I've sent numerous clients to relationship managers and they, why would you do it this way? And it's, whoa, just let me consult you. Let me walk you through the process and I'll show you what we're going to do after. Yeah.
And I think that's the importance, because a lot of clients, some clients will ask, why, what are you doing that they're not doing? And I'm like, they're looking very small. They're looking at one thing, their products. We're looking at the whole chessboard, and they're looking at one, I'm going to move this, I'm going to do this. And it's key, again, especially because most of the relationship bankers don't have a business. They're working for another business. They're working for a 9 to 5. And that's what I found challenging at first, because he just said, go to relationship banker. So I was like, all right, let me go find a relationship banker. There's a bunch of Chase near me. And then I realized that, and I'm like, okay, I have to remember, these are people that are working the job. And sometimes they don't want all that complications and you bring in new clients, because they want to keep it the way they have it. And I think that's really good. So you talking about systems, and let's talk about somebody wanting to start a funding business.
Sure.
And let's talk about, what do you think one of the biggest factors on scaling a funding business or not? Besides just, I know we could say systems, right? But something key that's like, that right there is going to help you be successful or not.
All right. So here's the beautiful thing about me, right? I come from corporate America, right? I've been in B2B sales. So one thing that worked for me building and scaling a funding business is prospecting. Getting up and making those daily offers. I always suggest anybody who's starting out in the business, you should be doing 50 offers a day. Whether it's DMs, you can reach out to credit repair, credit restoration companies, credit repair reps, anybody, right? You can also reach out to coaches and course creators, right? To help their students get funding, right? Because one of the biggest bottlenecks for coaches and course creators is funding. It's one of the biggest bottlenecks, because one thing about coaches and course creators, they typically use Afterpay, Klarna, all of those, right? But what happens is with Afterpay, Klarna and everything, the clock starts right then and there. We can leverage 0% interest. Then we can be able to help them pay the coach for whatever they're getting into.
Yeah.
So I would say prospecting, making those daily offers, understanding too, like your power. I think a lot of people don't understand like the power of relationships and what you post on social media. See, here's the thing. I see a lot of people that do funding right now. The industry is very deep, but they don't look like they're selling money. I've seen people cooking, talking about, I can help you get $50,000 to $100,000 in funding. I've seen dudes with do-rags on saying, I can help you get $50,000 to $250,000. Look the part, right?
Yeah.
So you want to be able to be online. You want to be presentable. You want to be able to lead with teaching them something prior to even trying to sell them, right? So here's one thing I do, right? So if I onboard a client, I may go over their credit profile and give them a couple plays on their next steps, whether they work with me or not. Because what happens is, if you leave them off and they do something, they can come back and that's a testimonial later. Hey, man, because you said that, because you told me to do this, now I have an 800 credit score, right? So I try to lead with value. A lot of people don't lead with value, providing information. So if you lead with value, you're prospecting every day. These are low-hanging fruits that don't cost any money. It just costs time.
Yeah.
It costs time. So social media. Also, one thing you can do as well with social media is you can go to Facebook groups. There's so many entrepreneurial Facebook groups. There's Christian entrepreneurial Facebook groups. There's real estate entrepreneurial Facebook groups, credit repair entrepreneurial Facebook groups. You need to go in there and tell people what you do. Hey, my name is Jamapi Top. I help entrepreneurs gain access to capital to hit their goals or build and scale their business, or add on an extra $5,000 to $10,000 a month.
Yeah.
So just leveraging those prospecting skills, man, will take you to the next level. See, the beautiful thing about me, the reason why I was able to beat a lot of guys in the industry is because I'm a lot more disciplined than them. Why? Because I came from corporate America.
Yeah.
See, The thing is, me being in B2B sales, how I started my day is 9 to 11, I prospected. So I made 100 phone calls from 9 to 11. I set up clients. From 11 to 3, I'm pretty much on meetings with my existing clients. I'm nurturing those existing clients. See, after that, now what happens is after I take care of a client, I'm asking for the referral. See, a lot of people, that is the lowest hanging fruit. If you have somebody that you took care of, ask for the referral. Yeah. So you can say, hey, how was your experience with us? Oh, it was good. Okay. Do you know anybody who else do you know anyone who would need what we provided to you? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got somebody. Hey, get us in contact with him so we're able to help him like we helped you. Simple, low-hanging fruit to add on money. That's one thing I implemented within my team. So my employees, they're not just my employees, they're partners now. Because what happens is if they walk one of my clients through a journey and they get a referral, now I have to give them 10% on our payment.
Yeah.
So now my employees are not just employees to me, they're partners.
That's key.
So I'm like now, and that comes back to systems. It's a full circle now. Yep. So now my employees are making more than the average person, and they're all breadwinners for their families. And that's what it's all about.
I say this industry is very liquid. Like It's just super liquid. And I actually, a lot of stuff you're saying I've done as I was starting, because you would hit these bottlenecks of, okay, how do I get more clients? Okay, you need a prospect more. Okay, there's so many different ways to prospect. Are you doing social media and content? Okay, you're doing that. Who do I do? How many people do I even know to get to 50 people? Because then you got to start doing cold outreach. Yeah. And then we do the contacts. I partnered with somebody early on, and he's in the rental car space too. And I was like, you have a mentorship. Why don't you send me the clients? I'll give you an affiliate fee. And what I realized was he was like, this. I've done this a lot, but he was one person that goes, all right, cool. Hangs up. His mentee needed funding. Calls me back, and we start doing funding the next day. And I was like, boom. And then I started doing the math, and I'm like, he's making double the amount of money because he's getting a good affiliate fee. And on the other end, he's getting them to pay for his mentorship. That's like $8K. So he's making way more on the funding side. And eventually what I realized, what you said with your team, is he became a partner. And he helped me scale the business. He does the sales. So we have somebody that does sales, and we have a sales team that's doing the outreach. Because if you don't, that's one of the biggest things. That's prospecting. Yep. I like that. I like that.
And that's just a free way, right? If we go into paid ways, man, you want to leverage like some of these promotion pages, right? Leverage Baller Alert and say, hey, this entrepreneur helped this person get $250,000 who just started a business yesterday. Another way is paid ads. A lot of people don't understand how important paid ads is, right? Whether it's Meta or Google. One thing I use for the DSCR side of my business is we run Google ads. Okay. So we run Google ads, and we were able last month to generate over 40 grand just from the DSCR side. And that's not including the 0% interest side.
That's dope.
So there's multiple ways to skin the cat. It's just all about how you're going to do it, and are you going to stay consistent?
Consistency is key.
Consistency is key in this space. A lot of people, what I see is they'll show up one day and disappear. See, here's the thing: when you operate in greatness, you got to stay in that consistently. Like me, I could be on a treadmill, I could be working out, and I'm figuring out how to better my process and get better and get better and get better. So I'm able to bring it back to somebody and teach them it, right? Because obviously we're teaching entrepreneurs now how to build and scale six-figure businesses, whether it's from the credit repair side or the business funding side. Or if, let's say, for instance, everybody don't want to be an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is hard. We're teaching you how to add on an extra $5,000 to $10,000 per month to your income.
I like that.
You're talking, let's say, $10K per month extra. That's over $120K extra for the year. $5K, that's $60K.
Boom.
The average American makes $48,000 a year. So you see how important this is?
Yeah. I didn't even know that stat. Okay, so yes. I thought it was a little bit more, but that's absolutely crazy, by the way. Oh, I like so you guys have, what do you guys have, like an affiliate program, or how's that? Do you have something like that set up if somebody's referring clients to you?
So right now, that's where majority of our income come from. So we work with coaches and course creators in the space, right? And we help their students hit their goals, whether it's real estate. So we have partners in the real estate industry where what we pretty much do is they may send a client over to us. We'll help them get funded so they're able to purchase the land to build the property, right? So we're helping coaches and course creators throughout the space. And for the average person too, right? If they're trying to build and scale a funding business, what you can do is, and I'm gonna give y'all another play, right? I gave y'all LinkedIn, I'm gonna give you another one. What you can do is, You can go to the school's platform and you can search schools. You can search schools and you can reach out to the person who runs the school and say, hey, I would love to fund your school and help them get to their goals. So if it's real estate and your students are going for properties, hey, I would love to help them get funded and walk them through the journey.
Yeah.
So it's just another play for people, who don't have the money, who's starting out, who feel stuck.
Yeah. I think these are key ways too, because I think a lot of people get into these industries and they're like, oh, it's oversaturated. And you know what? I actually thought that when I got in some of these industries in the beginning, then I realized it's actually not. That's why I do a lot of collaborations. That's why we do podcasts and stuff like that, because there's just so many niches. There's just so many people. And you want to know what I really like about this niche and why I really think it's so liquid? Because everybody needs money. Everybody needs money. Okay? So no matter what you're going to do, if you have a lot of money, you're still probably investing to make more money. You don't just stop. And if you don't have any money, you're going to need to get some money to start making more money. So that's why I really like this industry. And I don't think that there really is oversaturation. But when I listen to these different things that you can do when you get in, there is almost no excuse, to do the 50 prospects per day, which I think is super key.
Too easy.
It's super key because the school platform is a really good method for people to like connect to other course creators because they don't know. I had mentorships and I'm like, before I ever did this, and I didn't realize, man, if I had me back then, how many people come to a course creator that they don't have enough money or they don't want to drop down $4,000 or $5,000, but they might have a good credit, but no one tells them, oh, you could use this. That's where Klarna and all these other companies exist because the Afterpay side.
Here's the beautiful thing too about that, right? What happens is if you help these students get funding, it makes them more successful, right? Because the students are able to hit the goal. See, the problem is 86% of businesses go out of business due to lack of capital. But what if you don't even have the capital before you even start? This is why people like me and you, we matter, right? We matter to these coaches and course creators. See, a lot of people don't understand, right? Like for me, the reason why I was so successful in this space is because you have to understand, when I was 14, I used to pack bags. I used to sit outside the supermarket and wait for people to come out and help them to their car to make money. So it's like a lot of people are working 9 to 5s right now and they're avoiding their entrepreneurial spirit, right? So I want you guys to understand this, right? Like if you're an entrepreneur, whether you're because I worked in the restaurants, I served. That's an entrepreneurial role, right? Because you kill what you eat. You only make money off the tips if you take care of the client. Yeah. Then I went into sales, B2B sales. Guess what? We make commission at the end of the month. So what God was telling me the whole time is you've been an entrepreneur your whole life. Me transitioning from corporate America, it was very scared to take that leap and go straight into entrepreneurship. But I said, hey, you know what? Let me think back. You packed bags when you were 14. 18, you worked in the restaurants. You started from the kitchen, then you transitioned over to serving and bartending, right? Now, transition over to corporate America. Guess what? I worked in the stores. I worked in the Verizon stores as a Verizon rep. First year, I went to Winner's Circle, which is top 10% in sales in the company. Then went over to business, right? I went over to business. I became a business account manager. Here's the beautiful thing, right? When I became a business account manager, I quickly seen a bottleneck for money. Because what happens is I worked with a lot of businesses and they'll close their account. And I'm like, hey, why are you closing your account? They would say, hey, man, the company's not generating enough money. So I quickly seen that bottleneck. That's why the funding industry meant so much for me to make that transition. So when I transitioned from being an account manager, I transitioned over to being a senior account manager, which I started to work with medium-sized businesses. So I started to understand what medium-sized businesses were going through, the bottlenecks of onboarding clients, onboarding employees, making sure everything was running smoothly, right? So I started to come up with tools and tried to fix their problems, right? I was always a problem fixer. Then I was promoted over to Massachusetts, where I became a sales leader. So I had the whole Massachusetts under me, over eight account managers. And man, I just came across, I think that was the end of the road for me because I came across a bad leader. See, a lot of people don't leave their companies because of the business, they leave because of their leadership. So once I noticed that, I'm like, hey, once I noticed she was a terrible leader, what I did was I started to focus on mentorship and started to invest. But here's the thing. I was working a 9 to 5. I was fully established. I was well decorated, right? But I didn't have no money. Yeah. I didn't have, the average American has less than $1,000 in their account. Yes. I had to pull from my 401k in order to invest into mentorship. Wow. So it had to work for me. Here's the thing. It had to work for me because that was the last of the last.
Right.
It was the last of the last. It had to work for me. So when I fully paid for mentorship, I fully committed. Now, here's the thing, man. It was easier for me because I'm coming from president's cabinets, winner circles, and sales. So it was really easy for me to jump into the funding industry. But for the average person who doesn't have that background, it's just all about consistency. Consistency is key. If you consistent enough to see it through, you will be successful. But it's not operating when you feel like, oh, it's sunny today, I'm gonna run my business. Nah, it's every single day you gotta put the work in. You gotta put that work in every single day in order to be successful. See, a lot of people are afraid of no. No means next opportunity.
Come on.
No means next opportunity. That's it. You keep it going. And guess what? Even with that no, guess what you did? You planted the seed. Now you just gotta water it.
Yeah.
We don't plant a seed and expect it to grow tomorrow. It's gonna grow over time. You just gotta water it. And that's where relationships come in, right? Watering those relationships to grow because your network is your net worth. See, a lot of people don't understand that. We're only using 20% of our call logs. What about the other 80? How are we leveraging that? What if you sent out a text message blast? Hey, I help people gain access to funding. Do you have a 700 credit score? That's another low-hanging fruit for the average new entrepreneur that's coming into the space for funding.
Yeah.
See, a lot of people say funding is oversaturated. Guess what? 7 out of 10 people have bad credit. That's your funnel. A person with bad credit, you help them, you do credit repair, you build them up in order for them to go into funding.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Exactly. That's key. There's a lot of the bottlenecks. And I know he said that. For somebody that doesn't know, we need a whole vocab section in this because there's a couple of things I'm like, bro, people do not know what this is. So let's break some stuff down. Let's break down earlier he's talked about the KPI, right? So why don't you break that down just a little bit and then we'll tell him like what a bottleneck is and I got a couple other questions.
You want me to break down KPI from what perspective?
Just from a perspective of someone's watching this and like, okay, I need to ask them. They go on LinkedIn and they say, hey, what KPI? They don't know what that means. So what is that to track?
All right. So basically what it does is it tracks what they need in order to be successful in their role, whether they're getting commission or it helps them to grow within their role to get a promotion. So let's say, for instance, with Bank of America, I had a meeting with one of the reps. I said, hey, so what's your KPI? He said, if a client gets a credit card, I get paid on what they spend on a credit card. So now for me, I already know that I'm helping him by helping my clients liquidate the card or if they're spending money on a card. So KPI just basically keeping track of what they have to get to in order to be successful in their role.
Okay, that's good.
And just to dumb it down for you.
That's good. That's good. So I look out like really in good business, people should know I'm simple when I do business. This is what's in it for me. This is what's in it for you. Yeah. And if you know them, then you're like, okay, what do you want out of this? Because then if you tell me something I can't give you or I'm not going to give you, then why are you even going to dance around this? So I think that's really good. Basically seeing, okay, what do you need to win? Yeah. Because if you don't want to, I need to know. That's interesting, the Bank of America thing. So
Yep. A lot of people don't know that. Also, too, let's say with Chase, they have multiple KPIs, right? Obviously, if you're going through a term loan or if you're going through a mortgage, right? With credit cards, they have their KPIs. But here's the beautiful thing, right? About these relationship managers, they're going to tell you what benefits them. So let's say, for instance, with PNC, when I spoke to my PNC rep, he said, hey, I would need you to open up a merchant account with each of your clients. I get paid more from a merchant account. So now I'm basically helping you, right? It's beneficial for you, for me, have my clients open up a merchant account. All I need for you is just to maintain communication, take care of the client, walk the client through the funding journey, and just give me the approvals. Once I have the approvals, now I can keep track of my client's funding journey.
Boom. Yeah. That's good. Okay, and then the bottleneck.
Yes, sir.
What would you define like a bottleneck?
So a bottleneck is the common problems that you're going through within your business or your day-to-day, right? So some of the biggest bottlenecks I would say from the funding industry is obviously attracting clients, which we gave some plays, right? Facebook Market, DMs, right? Leveraging relationships, going through schools.com, right? Another bottleneck would be, I would say, for somebody in the funding industry is, or let's say credit repair, right? Let's say walking the client, let's say the bottleneck is disputes, right? Let's say the bottleneck is disputes. Maybe you're disputing right now. Maybe you're disputing right now by yourself. How do we overcome that bottleneck, right? Maybe we outsource employees, right? We outsource employees and hire a disputer to dispute for you. So just figuring out what the common problem is within your business and how can you fix that common problem as soon as possible. Because here's the thing, a lot of people avoid those bottlenecks and they become bigger later on. See, a lot of people I speak to, they say they want clients, right? They may go on a podcast, but what if you don't have the systems in the back end to support those clients and they just flow in?
Yep.
So this happened to a student of mine, right? Basically, what happened is he posted something on TikTok and went viral. Then he was overflowing with clients, and now he was searching for a VA to set appointments. He was searching for everything because the problem is he was reactive instead of proactive. Boom. Here's the thing. You should be thinking every day like you're going to go viral every day. So how do you build those systems to make sure, you don't have any bottlenecks later on?
Yeah. I think that's key. A lot of times I look at when I talk to people in business and we always like, what if it doesn't work?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, let's just flip it. What if it does work? What if I have so many orders I can't fulfill? Because that's an actual thing. There's so many companies at the high level that are like, dude, we can't fund all the orders that we got, or we have too much inventory, or we don't have enough staff to handle the load that we're trying to get. So what happens is you have turnover. What happens if you have churn? What happens is you have clients that say, I want my money back. You took a day to respond to me. I hit him up and he responded to me in 10 minutes because they have automations. And I think that right there is key because not a lot of people talk about the system aspect of building any of these businesses. Yep. I think this is like the OG entrepreneurs is what I call them. When you start having like, you're doing things at 14. I was doing things young too. And I was like and you realize like now everybody talks about entrepreneurship because of social media, but no one's talking about the systems. They're just talking about if you get 20 clients, you're going to make exit. But how are you going to fulfill 20 clients?
Maintain those clients, right? How are you going to walk them through the journey and make sure their experience is really good? And how are you going to get them to send over another client to you? And the problem is because social media, we live in a microwavable society, right? Where people want it now because they see somebody that's lit on social media. But what they're not showing you on social media is, guess what? They're not showing you how they got there.
Yep.
They're not showing you expenses because expenses is crazy. They'll say, hey, I made $100,000. But how much of that $100,000 are you keeping?
I ain't never seen.
Let's talk about it. Nobody. You ever see somebody talk about?
Actually, there's only one person that posts and he's at making millions per month.
Yeah.
Everybody else won't even talk about. That's why they're like, I make a couple $100,000 a month. Like, how much do you make?
Yeah.
net?
How much do you really net? Let's talk about it. What do you net? So I think those are the biggest bottlenecks. People are paying attention to social media and they see people in their situation at the moment, but they're not understanding what it took for them to get there. And remember, social media, they're only going to show you the best parts of them.
Yep.
They're not going to show you the grits and grinds of what it took. So I always tell people, try not to pay attention to everybody. It's you versus you. You are the best version of yourself. And the only person you're in competition with is you because everybody has different starting points. Me coming from corporate America, it probably put me ahead of a lot of people. Yeah, but for the average person who's never been an entrepreneur, it doesn't mean that he can't pass me. It all depends on you focusing on you and bettering your process every day. That's why systems are so important. This is why if you don't have a CRM to manage your clients, that's a big bottleneck right then and there because CRM stands for, it's a customer relationship management platform. It's how you manage your customers. How are you nurturing your clients? How can you nurture your clients? You can nurture your clients by, guess what? Newsletters, a daily reminder, give them a daily play. What happens is now you're planting the seed and you're teaching them without teaching them. You're selling without selling. That is that key aspect to CRM. See, the reason why CRMs are so important to me is because when I was in B2B sales, I got up every day and had to check Salesforce every single morning. Yeah. And I understood that if I didn't check Salesforce, I wasn't going to make no money.
That's key. And when I was doing general real estate, we used something similar to that as well. And we had to check it. And you know what? I'm going to be honest, when I first started, I was like, man, because I'm coming from being an entrepreneur like all my life. So I'm like, I got to use all this. I don't want to use, I got 3 systems I got to open. I got to use this and this. Seriously, honestly, for the last couple years, I've been learning more and more about systems and CRMs, and that's why we're focused now on pushing this stuff. But that right there is what you said about the 9-to-5 thing, and I want to highlight because there's a lot of people that will watch this and they're like, yo, I want to do this, but I'm not an entrepreneur. I have a 9-to-5. Let me tell you from a person that's never had a job, having the entrepreneurship, this is way different than you're gonna go in. He was going in and boom, system, and boom, system, boom, this. If you realize a lot of the experience that you're saying, I'm like, now it makes so much sense how that connects, because you've seen the other side of this. If you're just an entrepreneur, we're not seeing the other side. We're seeing what only we can see. And sometimes that's dangerous. So I think 9 to 5, when you're there, you're learning these systems and you're learning this stuff. When you go and you leave, you have the ability to say, at our job, we had to get up and do prospecting. At our job, we had these. At our job, we had this. Bro, you don't start any job and no one trained. Like, you're just sitting there, oh, what do I do? You have to train. You have SOPs. You got some paperwork you got to sign and some background check. And if you look at that when you're replicating your business, it pits it to a different level.
And this is what I tell people too, right? Because I'm happy you brought that up, right? So your 9 to 5 is how you make your living. Your 5 to 9 is how you make your life. So your 9 to 5 is your business partner. So you're going to leverage that money over from your 9 to 5 to bring it to your 5 to 9. Whether you're an entrepreneur or not, the average American needs a side hustle to even sustain life.
Yeah.
So that side hustle, you don't have to even call it a business. Call it a side hustle.
Yep.
But make sure you're implementing it day by day. See, here's the thing. When you're building out systems, I want everybody to think about it like this, right? Think about McDonald's. How is McDonald's able to have a 16-year-old come in and master everything within a week? It's because they have a great funnel. They have a great system. It's all about systems. See, McDonald's, they can have somebody who never worked a day of their life come off the street and be able to be a master within a week because of their systems. How do we implement systems? So I want everybody to think about their business like Walmart, like McDonald's. That's how you build and scale.
Yeah, that's key. Listen,
Yes,
if you guys have to get, my takeaway from this is I listened to a lot of this stuff, and being an entrepreneur and going back through the journey of starting a funding company, we dealt with it all. And we came up with this and we came up with that. You guys just got everything you need to do in the beginning before you start. Or if you're already at a point where you're like, I need to get to the next spot, you're just probably at a bottleneck, and it's most likely the system. Or what most credit repair and funding companies don't do, because it takes a certain type of person, I feel like, to do the funding and sequence and the analytical, is sell. If you do not prospect, it's like you're not going to make any money, because these are high liquid industries. These aren't industries you got to come in and spend $20,000 and $30,000 to get. Bro, you just need to get some prospects. And he said it earlier, your contacts. Listen, you have a list. Everybody has a list in their phone of some contacts. And that right there in real estate, that's the first thing we started. We build our pipeline. In the first 2 years, you're building your pipeline. And then you could work off referrals and longer. But at first, everybody probably either needs credit repair help or they need money. And that's my takeaway from this. Yes, I know that you guys are doing a challenge soon, so why don't we talk about that?
Yes, sir. Listen, so from November 3rd to the 7th, man, we're going to be teaching entrepreneurs how to build and scale a 6-figure business. Me and my partner Ali, right? We're going to be teaching you how to build and scale a 6-figure business from a credit repair industry and a funding industry, right? Here's the beautiful thing. If you don't want to be an entrepreneur, we're going to teach you how to add on an extra $5,000 to $10,000 per month onto your salary. Remember, guys, the average salary in America is $48,000. We're going to beat that. We're going to teach you how to beat that within the 5 days. We're going to be giving you actionable tasks, right, on how to build and scale a business and how to get funding right then and there. And also, too, we got a couple plays for you guys throughout the week where we're going to show you and help you get capital throughout the week as well. So, listen, make sure y'all tune in. Listen, beat me there, don't meet me there. Come on. And I'm going to see you soon.
Perfect. Why don't you let people know where they can find you?
Yes, sir. So you can find me on Instagram at Jamapi Tapa on all social platforms.
Let's get it.
Let's go.
I appreciate you coming on.